Laurel Leaf Networking. And we're live.
And good evening, everybody. We're now live in the Facebook group, Laurel Leaf Networking, and you can see on my right, probably your left, but don't take my word for that, Luke Edge of AdvantEdge IT Solutions. And Luke is a cyber security specialist and an ethical hacker. That means he can hack computers, but he's not he's not from Anonymous. He's an ethical hacker. So he helps people keep out the bad guys and protects people's computers. So he can help you with any IT solutions, but tonight we're actually talking all things cybersecurity. So actually, hi, Luke.
Hi. Hello, everyone.
Hi. So it's a bit of a subject at the moment. Loads and loads of cybersecurity in the news. I mean, the amount of money that we all lose throughout the year and the years, it's been steadily increasing. We've got attacks from all sorts of countries.
Lots of nation-state attacks, yeah, especially with the recent ongoings with the United States and Iran and things like that. There's been a huge increase in nation-state attacks.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. So what we're going to discuss tonight are personal and business.
Yes. Yeah. Not what's going on around the world.
But I think what my point was, I was trying to say, not very well, but you know, it's so huge amongst countries, let alone amongst individuals, and
this is it. It's becoming cybersecurity for us as individuals is becoming something that we need to start thinking more about and being more proactive in actually defending against. I
think we, first of all, if you're interested in cybersecurity and you want to have information on scams, current scams, or you've got any questions about something that's happened to you, you can join our cybersecurity group, which is www.facebook.com/groups/BeCyberSmart UK. And it is all about being cyber smart. It's all about prevention is better than cure. And if you don't understand it or you're unsure about it, then you need to find out, because honestly, I can't tell you how awful it is. I had an attack in October 2015. I hadn't opened a dodgy attachment. And this can happen, unfortunately. You go to a website, it's a dodgy website, there's viruses, Trojans already installed, and that's it. And I turned my computer off one Sunday afternoon. I put it back on an hour later. I had the blue screen, and I lost 20 years of emails. And you think it's never going to happen to you. For me, it was awful. I had medical stuff, as it would be for anyone.
It really is. It can, all it takes is that one click of a button or visiting an insecure website, and that's it. You can lose all of your data, and businesses can lose much more than their data. They can have their financial data, access to their bank accounts and things compromised just as easy as an individual. I see it quite regularly. There's a big scam going on. This kind of takes into one of the topics we discussed, talk about is the phishing, which an account will be hacked, like a company's director, his email account will be hacked because he's clicked a phishing link. And then the hacker will actually email the accounts department with a request to make payment urgently to a bank account, saying, oh, hi, Barbara, please can you make a payment of £10,000 to this account number? I forgot to run this by you earlier. Please get it sorted as soon as possible. The email's got the proper signature on it. It's come from him. Barbara sat in accounts and she's just like, yeah, boss has told me to do it. She sends £10,000 to the account that's on the email, and that's it. The company's just lost £10,000, all because an individual, or in this case, the company director, fell for a phishing scam, or they didn't have like two-factor authentication enabled on their email accounts and additional security measures in place.
We'll come to two-factor authentication, but I think a very important point as well is, all of the banks signed up, didn't they, last year to this thing where, they would give you back money if you were a victim of fraud, and actually it's quietly slipped away where they've actually all unsigned this agreement. So the banks won't help you. So it's even more important that you help yourself, because once that money's gone, generally it's gone. So
Absolutely.
I'm going to ask you, everyone, you're all welcome to ask any specific questions, any questions about cybersecurity. There is no such thing as a stupid question, because until you know something, you don't know it. And that's what we're here for. And Luke's very happy to help you. Luke, I'm going to just kick off asking you a few questions that I hope to everyone else. So my first question is that everyone knows that Windows, we're very vulnerable because it's an open source code. I think that's correct in saying that.
No, so Windows is
too much
open
detail.
source, but it's it's more heavily adopted than other platforms in the consumer market, especially.
Yeah. So obviously it's a lot more prevalent, but people who have Mac, iPhones and Macs always say to me, and I'm sure to you, that they don't need antivirus. Is that true?
No, it's not true. Macs do have a lot of viruses for them. They appear less and less, however, but Macs are becoming more popular in the market. More and more people are adopting them in their daily life, such as all Apple products. Everyone's got some form of Apple product in their household now. Hackers are realizing this and kind of going, well, we're losing potential revenue here, because that's how they look at it. They look at it as their stream of income. So, yeah, they're like, right, we need to start attacking these devices, including Macs and things. Last year, there was a malware found in May that was initiated by visiting websites. So the hacker would inject code into the website. So when someone visited the website using something like Safari browser or even just on a Mac in general, it would actually install a backdoor in their Mac that could then be later used to install additional malware and pull data and recover all sorts of information about the victim. Then in June last year as well, there was another attack. I can't remember the specific details about it, but Macs are becoming more and more susceptible to viruses. Most ransomwares these days that are being developed can actually affect Mac computers as well as Windows computers. Because they affect the document type more so now than they used to with affecting the operating system. So most ransomwares will look for documents that end in like .docx or .powerpoint, etc., etc. And ransomware viruses can affect Macs in the same way that they do Windows PCs, in that they can encrypt your data.
So what antivirus? First of all, do you believe in antivirus? And I mean, obviously there's Malwarebytes, which maybe you want to explain that quickly, but what antivirus programs would you recommend?
So ones that I recommend for all devices, Malwarebytes is a must-have. It's very, very good at stopping, defending against malware, hence the name, but it also picks up a lot of potentially unwanted programs, otherwise referred to as PUPs or PUPs. Another great antivirus program, which I absolutely swear by, is Sophos. Sophos is one of the market leaders in antivirus and just in the cybersecurity world in general. They're very top of their game. Their products really not that expensive either for such a high-end company. There's a lot of lower-down companies that actually charge a lot more for their products, and they never rank as well in the annual cybersecurity reports and things. So, yeah, I would highly suggest take a look at Malwarebytes, take a look at Sophos. If you want any information on Sophos, then feel free to drop me a message or get in touch with Laurel, and she can put you in touch with me because there's a lot. Their website's very much more aimed at the business market rather than the consumer market, but they do have consumer products available.
Okay, that's great. And so this malware, I am inundated with spam every single day. Do you have a way of protecting? Once your email address is out there, do you have a way of somebody can actually protect themselves from these emails?
So the most common and popular way of protecting yourself against emails is actually putting in place what's called spam filtering. Now, most email providers, Microsoft, Google, and that will have built-in spam filters, but they're not always top of their game. There's a lot of third-party providers that you can link your email accounts with, so that the emails actually go through their spam filter before it hits your inbox, and they flag it up using like a global address list saying, no, this has been picked up. And it's all, a lot of them these days are powered by artificial intelligence and things, so they pick up patterns and stuff a lot quicker than Microsoft and Google's built-in spam filters do. So that's the easiest way of doing it, is just get in touch with an IT provider and ask them if they can set up spam filtering for you. It's really not expensive. You're talking £3, £4, maybe £5 a month for spam filtering. That's per email account. The other way, you can get more complex kind of solutions, such as installing firewalls in your office and your home to actually do these spam filtering things themselves. But that tends to be more the route that more enterprise size businesses and things go down. The most small and medium sized businesses tend to stick with the spam filtering option. It's cheap, it's effective, and it does what it says on the tin. It filters out spam.
But how do you ensure that, like, your staff, people, are just as careful on their office computer as they are on their home computer? Because at the end of the day, whatever measures you take, if someone opens an email they shouldn't, an attachment, I should say, then...
This is where having a decent antivirus program comes into play. So again, I'll take you back to Sophos. Sophos, their Intercept X antivirus, is a lot of it's run on artificial intelligence. So if someone clicks a link in an email and it opens up the web browser, Sophos usually and quite reliably actually flags it up and says, this website has been blocked by Sophos antivirus. Please contact your system administrator. If they've clicked a dodgy attachment and it started to install a virus or try to encrypt their computers with ransomware, Sophos, again, really reliably picks up that threat and actually stops it from doing any damage. You can go down other routes with protecting emails, so you can have than just protecting your network in general. So you can have other things like you can filter out spam. You can actually filter out internet traffic. It's called DNS filtering. And it works in the same way that spam filters. There's like a large global address list that's constantly being updated of known malicious websites. And DNS filters will, if they notice that they work by running in your browser, they notice that your browser is taking you to one of these known websites, it will flag it up and actually block you from visiting the site. They do always have the button with system administrators and IT providers can configure them. So you can have it so that they can still go ahead, but they've had the warning there to say it's been blocked, and then you can still have a proceed button, or you can just have it so it's completely blocked, and that's it. They can't do anything other than click off of it. They're the two most popular routes: is the DNS filtering and putting in place a decent antivirus program that's actually going to monitor the file attachments and things of your email accounts.
When you go to Google and someone says, "I'll go to this website, it's great," and it doesn't have the SSL certificate, it's not an HTTPS, and it doesn't have the green tick that says it's safe. Would you say that you shouldn't ever click on those websites?
I wouldn't say you should never click on them.
And also that you shouldn't actually even go to a website that doesn't anymore have that in security certificate.
I mean, in this day and age, for a website not to have that, it's, one, very unprofessional if they're a business, because you can get an SSL certificate for free these days. Most hosting providers provide it. But I wouldn't say don't ever click or visit a HTTP only website. My word of advice is don't enter any details on that website, because any details that you enter and then send over that connection is not encrypted, could be intercepted by an individual's man in the middle attack. They're sat in the middle of you and the server where your data's being sent. They can intercept it. Whereas with HTTPS, that entire data connection is encrypted and all the information you send over is encrypted. So I wouldn't say don't visit HTTP websites. I'd probably say just be cautious about what the website is, and what data it's asking you for, and then make an informed decision about whether or not you actually want to send your information over this. A lot of cybersecurity is actually using your knowledge. We have a terminology in the business that's or in the sector that's kind of, you can't fix stupid. So, you know, people do, and 9 times out of 10, we do get called to things that an individual's been warned multiple times not to do, and they do still go ahead and do it. And, you know, that's where the term kind of originates from. But it's just about being, informing yourself and learning what the threats are and what you should and shouldn't do, or what's advisable and what's not advisable. So
to be cyber smart.
So yeah, to be cyber smart. Exactly. It's all about being cyber smart. You can't, this industry and the way the world's going with cyber attacks and things, it's such, hackers are now using it as their main form of income. You know, it's a full-time career for some of these people. They sit there all day doing nothing but hacking, trying to encrypt people with ransomware, because they can make an absolute killing out of it. You know, there's plenty of stories recently about over in the United States, their medical sector and their local city councils and things are being absolutely hammered at the moment with ransomware. But all these ransomware attacks that are affecting these councils and, you know, medical centers and things, us as individuals, as consumers or as small business owners, we're all susceptible to these as well. At any point, one of these, a link could land in your inbox. You click the link and then you're going to get hit with the same ransomware that's just taken down. I don't know, I can't remember the name of the state in America that's actually recently been attacked. You know, but it's brought some cities to a standstill. Now, if you can do that to an entire city in the United States, imagine what you could do to you as a small business owner. But when we're talking about ransomware, the question that always arises, well, how can I defend against ransomware? Well, step one, again, antivirus. And step two is, and this is the most important one, is always have a backup. And you can never have too many backups. Now, there's a good rule for backups. It's a 3-2-1 rule. You should have 3 copies of your data on 2 separate mediums or medias, and then one of those storage medias should be taken off-site, so into the cloud or to another address or something like that. That way, you've always got ensure that you've got a copy of data that cannot be attacked or over the network or breached.
So when you say 3 different medias, you mean so for instance, you would back up your system on, let's say, an external hard drive, and then you might back it up somewhere else in like OneDrive or whatever the equivalent is in Apple on a Mac, because I'm a Windows person, as you know. But so you're just saying, I mean, I think they say that anyway, like if you have an external drive and then you put the external drive in the drawer next to your computer, and then God forbid, you know, your house burned down, then you've lost your backup as well. So you do have to kind of take it off site. Yeah,
exactly. So if, for instance, if you're using Office 365 to store your data on a daily basis, what I'd recommend is you employ a service like Backupify. It's a fairly inexpensive, what's called a cloud-to-cloud backup solution. So how it works, you link it with your Office 365 account, and it copies all of your data, emails, calendars, and everything in Office 365, and actually puts them into a data center that's owned by a company called Datto. And that way you've got one backup of your data on a separate medium, and it's actually off-site. And then on-site, you could have an external hard drive that's also backing up your OneDrive data. It's always quicker.
What happens if you're not like a business and you don't have Office 365? You're just at home, like home user.
Yeah. So if you're just at home, having a backup to an external hard drive is great. But things like Backupify, they are available to the commercial market. They're not just for business users. So if you're using if you're using OneDrive at home for your personal file storage, which actually surprisingly quite a lot of people are, then you can still employ Backupify or similar services to back up your data to another cloud provider. But if you're just a standard home user and you've got your laptop and all your data is on your laptop's hard drive, then I'd always recommend having external hard drive that backs up however often that makes you feel safe. You can never be backed up too much. So, you know, I back up daily, every day I back up. You know, I just think to myself, well, you know, I'm only losing a day's worth of work. But most of my stuff's on the cloud. So, yeah. But if you're a home user and you've got all your stuff on your laptop, all your family photos, you know, dead relatives and things like that, all that real personal information, sensitive data. Photos of your dead relatives. Yeah, just.
I tell you what, something always comes out wrong when you're doing a Facebook Live because it's just like a
yeah.
nerve.
Yeah. I didn't think that one through.
Okay. Let's just say you've got relatives pictures that you.
Yeah, photos of your relatives and things. Then back it up to an external hard drive, let's say daily, and then also look at cloud backup. You can use there's a lot of cloud backup services out there that actually give you free storage up to like 10-15 gigabytes. Google Drive gives you 15 gigabytes of free storage that you can utilize.
How big is 15? What's that?
15 gigabytes is the equivalent of, I'd say, 3 to 4 reasonable 2-hour-long movies. So yeah, full-length movies. I couldn't tell you how many music files it is. It's probably quite a substantial amount of music files, and it's a hell of a lot of photos.
Oh, and so after that, you pay, do you? If you've got
after that, you can actually upgrade your Google storage. Can't remember the pricing. Last time I checked, I think it was a couple of pounds a month, and then you get up to like 50 gigabytes, or it might even be more than that. It could be a terabyte, which is more than enough usually to store all of your personal data and documents. So yeah, protection against ransomware, backup is your number one kind of priority. Make sure you've got a backup. If you haven't got a backup, get a backup.
Because because obviously we run the cybersecurity group together, but I get a lot of those really lovely Bitcoin ones that say I viewed porn sites and, all sorts of horrible stuff it says. And then it says, Google has to pay this Bitcoin fee. And obviously, I did know that it was just a random, that a lot of people have paid that fee and do pay that fee because it's not necessarily because they have actually done what the person said. They're just so afraid that, that they might have something else on their computer, maybe not necessarily what you're being accused of by the hacker, but you might think, oh, I do have a picture of my naked girlfriend from 10 years ago or boyfriend or something, and you just think, I don't want them to send that to all my friends, so they pay the $5,000. So what should people do when they get that really horrible, nasty Bitcoin email?
Simply ignore it. They use scare tactics, so the chance of them actually having access to your computer, I've not seen a case yet where they've actually had access to the computer. What it is that they do, let's say, for instance, Facebook gets hacked and Facebook don't encrypt your passwords. They do, but let's say they don't in this instance. And all of those passwords and your email addresses get leaked on the internet, on the dark web or the public web. Hackers are going to use that information. They've got your email address, they've got your password. They can drop you an email to say, hi, Laurel. It's going to come to your Laurel Leaf network, or your Laurel Leaf email address, whatever email address you use for Facebook. And it will say, hi, Laurel, this is your password. We have hacked your computer. That is proof that we have your password. But it's not proof. All they've done is they've gained the data elsewhere through another hack. So the chance of them actually having access to your computer, like I said, I've not actually seen a case where the hacker has actually got access to the computer. I get the emails myself. Now, I play games with them and I like to reply to them and have what I call banter with them until they get really irate and just stop emailing me. But yeah, you just ignore them. There's no point paying. And if you do pay, then, pay on it. If you are going to pay because you feel like you need to, then pay on a credit card, because that way you can reverse the charge. But I can promise you now that they do not have access to your accounts. They are just hackers. They've come across a large data breach and they're taking a chance at earning some money. If they email 1 million people, Facebook, again, if we use Facebook as an example, Facebook's got millions of users. They emailed 1 million users saying, pay us £50 in Bitcoin. They could walk away with a nice hefty sum of money that would mean they'd never have to work again.
So if we just go back to how they get your email and sometimes password, it's happened to me countless times. I bought tickets for the theatre and I booked flights on BA, and about 2 weeks later, both were hacked.
Yeah.
I didn't get financial compensation, but you did. Some BA in particular were very good about it, and they give you kind of identity theft protection for a year, and but hackers did have control of their website for 9 days.
Yeah.
So talk to us about Have I Been Pawned, and how you can find out if you have actually been compromised, if your email and password have actually been compromised, what you should do at that point, and if you should change all your passwords.
Yeah, absolutely. So Have I Been Pawned is a brilliant free website. It's fairly similar to the dark web scanning service that some of you may have seen me advertising. Have I Been Pawned? It's a collection of, well, how the website works is at the back end of it, they've got a list of every single data breach that ever happens where the details have been published online. The guy who runs it is actually a very, very good cybersecurity expert. He's brilliant. But you go on the website, you enter your email address that you think may have been compromised, usually the most popular email address that you use for all your social media, and it will come back and it will tell you if you've been a victim, if your details have been compromised or not, and it will tell you exactly when they were compromised and in what company the breach come from. If you do come across the fact that your details have been breached, the first thing to do is change your password. Change your password on all your accounts. Don't leave a single account out, because most people, although we don't like to admit it, use the same password or variations of the same password over and over again. So yeah, change your passwords. Then I would highly recommend you signing up for a dark web scanning service just for future. Have I Been Pawned do their scanning service, where you just go on, you register, you can I think you can enter a couple of email addresses for them to monitor, and they'll send you an email if you're involved in a compromise that they've detected, which means that you can react to it quickly and update your passwords before there's any possible chance of a hacker or something breaching your accounts. So yeah, Have I Been Pawned is a brilliant service. Now, like I said, I do offer a similar service, is dark web scanning, which is a bit more comprehensive. Have I Been Pawned will only tell you if your email address has been involved in breaches. The dark web scanning service I provide actually tells you the password that's been breached as well. So you can go, right, okay, don't have to worry about that one because that was from 2016 and that's a password that I used back then. Oh wait, that one's my most recent password and I was breached on the 21st of this month, for instance.
So sometimes you'll actually be able to work out.
Yeah.
If you know that there's been like a major hack.
Yeah.
Like and your password was breached on like the same day that came, or the week before, then probably it's from that company.
Yeah, that's it. And all of these scanning services, my one, Have I Been Pawned, and the plenty of others out there, they all do one thing very well, and that is tell you what email address has been breached. Some of them tell you which password's been breached, but they all tell you where the breach has originated from, which is key, because then you can make sure that you access or you attack. I'm going to say attack. You update that password for that site first before you go ahead and decide to do all the rest. But yeah. If you are on any of them, you have to make sure you update all of your passwords, especially if you are one of the people who use their password over and over again. Then going forward, I'd probably recommend you use something like LastPass or an alternative password manager. And how they work is they store all of your passwords in a secure encrypted environment. And you can go in there and you can generate a new secure password for every single account that you've got. And you'll always have a different password for every account. And then LastPass, when you visit a website, you need to log in. It will automatically fill the email address and the password in for that account. So you don't even have to worry about typing in the password, which also adds to your cybersecurity in the fact that there's a virus out there called a keylogger that monitors every keystroke you take on your keyboard. And it's how people lose their access to their bank accounts and bank details and things get compromised. LastPass and all the password managers that autofill your data actually mitigate that risk by autofilling it, so you're not typing anything, so therefore the virus has got nothing to track.
Oh, this sounds very good. I love LastPass. The other really good thing about LastPass, completely separate to cybersecurity, so if you're busy and you're going from browser and you want to open something, you don't have to keep remembering.
Yeah.
It's all out, and it's just, honestly, for somebody like me, it's just been an absolute godsend.
Yeah, I mean, you can use LastPass to store things like your bank details in, so it can also fill your bank details. And just people aware, LastPass is the one that I use. I know Laurel uses it as well, and I trust it with my life. It's got my bank details on there. It's got all my company details on there, and access to millions of user accounts on there that I have access to as an IT provider. So if you're going to look for a password manager, check out LastPass first.
I think as well, you told me something also very relevant, that it's never, that the way they store it is different. It's never been hacked, or the way that they store it's never been hacked.
Yeah, they use very advanced encryption methods to actually protect your data and stuff. So they use what's called serverless encryption and things to actually store the data and encrypt it, which means that there's no physical servers for the encryption keys to be found on. It's all I would say AI driven, but it's not realistically AI. So it's going to get very technical. So I'll just keep it basic, that they use very, very secure encryption methods to actually protect your data, which makes it very, very hard. And in the event that one of the that it was hacked, the hackers are going to have to spend a hell of a lot of time, money, and resources actually decrypting your data. They haven't got that time, money, or resources, because I'm talking the use of supercomputers like the new quantum computer that Google have recently built. They need access to that kind of nation state, like government-sized computers and data centers to kind of, so they've got the computing power to be able to decrypt it within a reasonable time frame. Otherwise, they'll be waiting hundreds of years for you to get access to one password.
Because it's not worth it. They might as well carry on with it.
They'll be dead.
Yeah. It's been really interesting, and you've given us some really good tips, Luke. And we'll be back for another one. So I think we should we're going to have a one on really explaining backup and the cloud and everything to people, because I think people are very confused, and I know for sure it really confused me at the beginning as well, because there's just a lot of these terms are bandied around, and we think we know what they mean, but we don't really know.
Yeah, that's it. It's just about putting it into layman's terms and explaining things in a simplistic way that, even the first person who in a way that if someone was just picking up a computer for the first time, you could explain it to them in a way that they'd understand what you're doing. And without being able to explain something like backups, which is quite a complex thing when you start talking about the 3-2-1 rule and different storage medias and things like that. Being able to put that into layman's terms. Excuse me, I've been talking too much, clearly.
But that's what you put me for. I can put it into layman's terms because I am a layman. And I with somebody, and I think a lot of people are like this, that they need it explained and visual and see, so that, and then you can make informed decisions on your own cybersecurity. So people think, I think one is it's a pain and it's going to take time and I'm so busy, and the other is they know that they've also got to try and understand it, which is also time consuming. But once you get it, you feel so much more confident, and you know what you're doing with your own kind of protecting your own data.
Yeah. Absolutely. So it really is just about expanding your knowledge on the area, and you don't have to know the ins and outs of how encryption works, and how hackers actually break into your network, and do the kind of job that I do. You just need to understand the methodology behind how the hackers think and what you can do to actually mitigate the risks.
Okay, so do you want to just give us your company contact details, how we can contact you, and what services you offer? Because you mentioned your dark web scam.
So if you would like to get in touch, the website is www.advantedgeit.com.
And you're in the Laurel Leaf directory as well.
And I'm in the Laurel Leaf directory as well. So if you search me on Laurel Leaf directory, you'll find me. Email address is hello@advantedgeit.com. Just or even add me on Facebook. Ping me a message in my inbox. I'm always on Facebook. So I'm more than happy to liaise with anyone over any communication platform.
Yeah. So
I see that Tim has actually put a comment on about his about the amount of time it takes to break a symmetric 256-bit key with a brute force attack.
Oh my God, hang on, let's just listen. Tim, again, you're speaking to me, and breaking a symmetric 256 bit key by brute force regard to more computer, the 50 that could check $1 billion. Luke, in English? Tim, how?
It will take a lot of time for a very powerful computer to break 256-bit encryption. That is that in very, very basic terminology, without kind of spending the next 10-15 minutes discussing symmetric and asymmetric encryption.
Yeah, I think he's talking about the last pass and breaking into...
Yes, exactly that. Yeah, how long it take to actually decrypt the passwords that LastPass store and things. That's using 256-bit encryption. I actually believe LastPass recently did a thing where they're actually using 512-bit encryption, so it's double the amount of encryption than what Tim's mentioned there. So if we take Tim's, for instance... Oh, chat's gone.
Has it?
Oh, it's disappeared on mine.
It's favouring me, Luke.
It is.
What do you need to see? Breaking a symmetric 256-bit key by brute force, that one?
Yeah, I'll just find the thing on the Facebook group. Require about 3 times 1,051 years. So we're talking about 3,000 odd years to break 256-bit. So yeah, 3,000 odd years to break one encryption key. You're going to be dead, long gone. The hacker's children and his ancestors are going to be long gone. It's not worth his time.
Dead relatives.
Yeah.
Sorry, Lukey Luke.
That's all right.
You've been absolutely great. I'm looking forward to our next one. I think
me too.
I think we definitely should concentrate on the backup and the cloud, because it does get very confusing. We'll invite Tim back for his super brain power help.
Absolutely. I do enjoy Tim's comments. They even get me thinking at times, I will admit.
Yeah, we'll see you on the cybersecurity group, Tim. Thank you very much. Thank you to everyone that's listened. We didn't get too many questions, but as time goes by and we're on more regularly, hopefully people will ask us questions. Very happy to answer them. Oh, he's back. Oh.
Well, Kraken currently is
How do you say that number?
Is zeros, is that?
I don't even know how many zeros like a million is, let alone that's like triple billion, Tim.
Cotillion.
Using those efficient algorithms, divide that number by the speed of the computers your adversary has available. Well, you've got to know that. He's not going to tell you. To determine how long a 512-bit key will hold out against cracking efforts. Oh, I like this espionage. It's very exciting.
Yes, it is.
Should we
Tim, if you can work that out, because I'm not, then I will be thoroughly impressed. And knowing you and your previous comments that I've read, you will happily sit there, and I'm sure you'll give us an answer for that.
So, Luke, thank you very much.
That's all right, Laurel. Anytime.
Thank you. We will be posting the video up on our YouTube channel, and it will appear in various ways across social media. And thank you very much. See you next time. Bye.
See you soon. Take care. Bye.
Bye. Bye. Hi. Right. A couple of things. Can you still see me or not?